This was the morning the Prime Minister wanted us to change the way and the where we work. But come rush hour, few issues keeping your social distance.
It's generally pretty full most mornings, and I pretty much had a carriage to myself this morning, so it's quite nice in that sense, yeah.
The offices are deserted. It's like graveyard shift every single day of the week. And that's just not on, you know. Some people have got to get it going. And, you know, I'm one of those people who's keeping it going. And I'm beginning to feel a little bit like, where's everybody else?
I work in retail. It's very difficult to work from home. My family have bought everything I can offer them.
The official advice is now return to your office if you can, but countless of them across the nation still stand idle. This one only opened in December at great expense, soon shut down in March, but the bosses are actually pretty happy with it. Seen a Star Wars film recently and you'll be familiar with Jellyfish's work. Work they're still doing, just entirely from home.
So the office is empty, all your staff's working remotely. What's been the impact on productivity?
It's been amazing that our productivity hasn't dipped at all.
Not at all?
Not at all. We have to hit daily, weekly, monthly targets in our shop manufacturing for the projects that we're on as well. And those have been maintained throughout the process.
We may be in a global recession, but Jellyfish has increased the number of employees by 50%. Extra workers they might not have been able to physically fit in if work was still entirely office-based.
Presumably, though, you spent a lot of money doing up this big, swanky office. Do you want people back in it as soon as possible?
No, we don't. We were very clear, because anxiety and the sort of the mental health and the well-being of all our staff is really, you know, it's primarily important for us as well, that people do feel confident, comfortable, and don't have the anxiety of coming back into the office. So we don't need to come back to the office. We've moved forward. We are a work-from-home organisation, and that will stay that way.
When the government sent us all home, the assumption was that people would be chomping at the bit to return. But over the last few months, the nation has become a giant working from home experiment, and the nation seems to have decided, well, they're pretty happy with it. One survey suggests 81% of people would be happy to continue working remotely at least one day a week. The problem for the government, though, is that if this is our future, that will have a profound impact on how the economy works.
You going to work isn't just good for your employer, but all the surrounding businesses reliant on your custom. Getting people back to their regular place of work is seen as key to saving thousands upon thousands of jobs. By September, PwC wants to see 50% of people back in their offices. More than 1,000 school leavers and university graduates will be starting then, and the boss says some things can't be learned over FaceTime.
Our office needs to be a hub of learning and observation, as well as innovation and camaraderie. I think it's also a local community point. If we're not back in the office, then our security teams can't work, the local shops have got no one to serve. And we know we're going into recession, we know there are going to be job losses. So I think coming back into the office works both in terms of learning, but also in terms of mental health and local communities.
At the moment, returning to work is just guidance. And given the uncertainty businesses face, the fear many workers still have, and the continued prevalence of COVID, there seems little prospect of the government making the commute compulsory again anytime soon.
Well, joining me now from Marbella in Spain is the founder and chairman of Pimlico Plumbers, Charlie Mullins, and the TUC's head of employment rights, Kate Bell. Welcome to you both to the programme. Charlie Mullins, first of all, your policy is come back to work or you're getting sacked. Is that right?
Well, it's not exactly that. What we're saying is that time's up on the furlough thing. I don't believe that we should be paying people to sit at home to do nothing. So we've spoken to the ones that want to come back, and we've got most of them back now, and 30 people are no longer with us. We've either made them redundant, or they've gone, or they've moved on to other things.
OK, Kate Bell, what do you say to employers like Charlie Mullins who have that approach?
Well, everyone wants to see people coming back to work, but they want to come back to work safely. It's worrying if people don't want to come back to Charlie's company because they don't feel safe working there. I don't know what he's done to carry out a risk assessment, to publish that risk assessment, to make sure that people have got decent sick pay if they can't work, and to make sure they feel safe to come back to the workplace.
Yeah.
OK, hold on. Yep, go on, Charlie.
Let me just stop you there.
Yeah, go on.
We've put every safety measurement in place immediately. We've got social distancing, sanitising, masks, footwear, gloves, everything you need to do, we've had done by our own health and safety officer. So to say things like that, they don't want to come back because of safety, you're totally wrong. A lot of them don't want to come back because they're getting 80% of their money to sit at home.
OK, well, Kate Bell, what do you say to that? I mean, all employers are required to make their workplaces COVID safe legally, aren't they?
They are. They're required to carry out a risk assessment, although government haven't yet asked them to publish it, which is one of the things we need to do to reassure people. The workers we've talked to across the economy really want to go back to work. Living on 80% of your wages is tough. That's a fifth of your salary you're missing out on. And we know people want to be back doing their jobs, but they've got to feel safe to do so. And that's why we're calling on government to ask people to actually publish those risk assessments. And the other thing we really need is a decent policy of sick pay for everybody. Because at the moment, you don't know if you do fall ill, whether you're actually going to get the sick pay that would enable you to stay at home and look after yourself, get better and not put your colleagues at risk.
So would you like to see the furlough scheme extended? Because Charlie Mullins is very critical of it.
Well, so we do think the furlough scheme may need to be extended. No one knows where we're going to be in October when the furlough scheme at the moment is due to wind up. But there are businesses which are good businesses, viable businesses we don't want to see go under, but are really struggling to operate under social distancing. And for those businesses, we do think there might need to be an extension of the furlough scheme, yes.
Charlie Mullins?
Yeah, look, I don't think they should extend it. I think they should stop the system. And stop the people that are milking the system, get people back into the workplace. Obviously, the serious cases, the ones that genuinely can't go back or they have under-health issues, of course we've got to help them again. But maybe set up a different scheme. You know and I know that this furlough system, it was a lifeline what businesses needed, but now people are just abusing it. They're happy to stay at home and not go in the workplace. And, you know, for the economy, for jobs to continue in the future, we need to get people back into the workplace.
OK, Kate Bell, Charlie Mullins says people are milking the system.
I don't think we've seen any evidence of that. What we know people are facing at the moment is the real worry about their jobs. People are desperate to get back to work, to get the economy moving, because we've got those real fears of mass unemployment. You know, the Office for Budget Responsibility predicting maybe 10% by the end of the year. No one wants to see that. People want to be doing their jobs. People take pride in their jobs. But to do that, they've got to be doing it safely.
So, Charlie Mullins, what do you say to those employees who are at home because they're afraid?
Well, I say, if you're capable of getting back to work, get back to work, because if you don't get back to work, the economy's going to get worse. There's going to be more and more unemployment. So it's important that we all start getting back to work and trying to get the economy going. And if you've got a safe working environment, then, you know, how long can this furlough go on for? I mean, the longer you keep it on, the bigger the unemployment is. And Kate says there's no evidence of people abusing it. Well, I'm not sure, but do you see all them people on the beach and barbecues when it's supposed to be locked down? What would you say there then?
I mean, Kate Bell, there is a difficult balance to strike between the economy and health here.
Well, that's, you know, public health has to come first. And when we think about this balance, the only way we're going to get the economy moving is if we are able to control the virus. And, you know, we're not going to have to be in this cycle of kind of endless lockdowns. People are not going to go to the shops if they don't feel safe. They're not going to use public transport if they don't feel safe. And if we want to get the economy moving, right as we did at the beginning of this pandemic, we have to put public health first.
So you're not clear that all employers have taken the measures that they should be? Because the Prime Minister has said, you know, if people aren't taking these measures, we're going to come down hard on them.
Well, we're still seeing kind of localised outbreaks. You know, some of those really worrying outbreaks we've seen, for example, in agricultural sites, in textile factories, are not places where they had published their risk assessment. So we think there is more to do. Government hasn't required people to publish their risk assessment, so that everyone would just have a simple way to check, is my workplace safe? What's my employer put in place? And do I feel OK about going back to work?
So, Charlie Mullins, as a businessman, how much trouble do you think the country's in if we don't return back to workplaces in the way that you're advocating?
Well, there won't be no jobs. I mean, this is the biggest emergency crisis since World War II, and we're allowing people to continue to sit at home. We're allowing people to have wages to not come to work. We've got to look after the ones that genuinely need it. But let's not kid anybody. I mean, Kate doesn't think the system is being abused. Well, I think there's something like 4,000 fraud cases a month at the moment on this furlough business. So, you know, I think, you know, employers need to be honest with people. Look, why do I want to wait till October and then say to some of my staff, unfortunately, I can't keep you? So they're in a big problem then trying to get another job. Christmas will be coming up. Surely it's better to be honest with them now. And, you know, if they've got to look elsewhere for another job or get retrained, then isn't it better to do that than rather string employees along when they haven't got a job at the end of it?